Well, no doubt it is a shocking crime, and now there are a lot of questions about the suspected gunman and his mental state. So let's bring in an expert who studies the minds of killers. Scott Bond, he's a criminologist, and he's the author of Why We Love Serial Killers, the curious appeal of the world's most savage murderers. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So the latest information that we've learned about this suspect, what do you think about that?
Of course, this is all emerging, as we speak, but the indications are that this was a hate-motivated crime, and I believe a racially motivated crime. That church is a legendary church. It goes all the way back to the Emancipation Proclamation, and as such, it's symbolic. I think he targeted it deliberately.
You do? You think he put that much thought into it?
Absolutely. And the fact that he sat there for an hour before he actually started shooting, I think he was trying to send fear through the church, through the people there. And I think that this was a signal, absolutely premeditated act designed to send terror, almost like an act of terrorism.
Well, and a lot of people on social media were asking that question, what's the difference? Why are we calling this a hate crime and not an act of terrorism?
Well, I think that there are blends of both here. It is, first of all, a mass murder because it involved killing more than 3 people at the same incident, at the same crime scene. Certainly, well, it appears to be. Again, he hasn't even been interviewed, so we don't know. But what I do as a criminologist, I look at patterns and likelihood, and based upon the facts, it appears that this was a hate-motivated crime.
Because I will say, we haven't even released details about the victims, with the exception of the Reverend there, Pinckney, who was also the state senator, but we don't even know the races of the victims. So we're assuming, because it was a historically black church, that they were all black.
Right. We don't know that. But again, it's symbolic. It's a legendary church that has a long, rich, fabled history, and I don't think it's any accident that he picked that church.
And was it any accident that he was brought in alive?
I believe that is also by design. Very much like James Holmes out in Colorado, who also passively waited for the police to arrive. I think this is an individual who was looking for recognition. There's indications that he even sent out a message. He wanted people to remain alive, to spread the word of what he had done. It's very sick, but I believe in his mind. I think this is a powerless individual who in many ways is full of fear himself, who believes that this is his grand achievement.
Well, and I looked at his Facebook page. He only had about 80 friends there, and not a lot of comments at all, or interaction.
He fits the profile of a lot of mass shooters, young loners, very estranged and dysfunctional. He appears to be that way, but I think that in his sick, twisted mind, this was his grand achievement, and he was not going to leave by turning a gun on himself or being shot. I think he actually wants to bask in the glory of this.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate your insight as this continues to develop.
Absolutely.
Well,